welcome back to another video. For today's video, I decided to create this look right here. I'm obsessed. What about you guys? I'm so excited to get back into regular colors. I did a lot of pink looks for Valentine's Day. I'm honestly obsessed seeing myself in the monitor right now with some greens and some blues. So I'm really excited to show you guys how I created this look today. Of course, I used my Carnival 3 Love Tahiti palette. This is what the palette looks like right here. I'm obsessed with it. I've used it a ton on my channel actually. So if you guys are interested and want to see more looks or need some more inspo with this palette, I have a ton of looks. This is what the palette looks like right here once you open it up. It is super, super beautiful and the color story is incredible. Definitely my most used and my favorite palette in my collection. So yeah, I'm super excited for you guys to see how I created this look today. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Before we jump into today's video, please don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you guys have not already. And of course, without further ado, if you guys would like to see how I created this makeup look today, then just keep on watching. You guys, so let's go ahead and jump into today's look. So of course I'm going to be prepping my eyelid with my P.LOUISE base in the shade Rumor Number 2. By the way, I got my nails done finally, you guys. I was doing so good with my at-home gel manicures, but I kind of got tired of doing my nails at home. I go through these phases where I want my natural nails and then I want acrylics. So I'm back with the acrylics and I'm obsessed. But anyway, I just packed on that base with a buffing brush. And then for shadow today, we're using the Bperfect Carnival 3 palette. This palette is beautiful. And unfortunately, the first shade that I used, which is this blue right here called the Deep, I lost the footage for. So I'm just showing you guys the shade Lagoon in this clip because that's the next shade that you're going to see me apply. But basically what I did with that darker blue was just packed it into the socket of my eye like I always do until it was nice and pigmented, and then now I'm using the shade Lagoon just to go ahead and start to basically diffuse that harsh line that I created with that darker blue. So that's the way I usually like to do my shadow. I personally like to start from the darkest shade and work my way up and kind of blend it out to the lightest shade. It just works best for me when it comes to these super intense eye looks, and it's honestly the best way that I have found that I'm able to really get a really beautiful blend. So now what I'm doing is taking a little bit of the shade Reef and I'm just adding that on top of the shade Lagoon. And like I said, I'm kind of just working my way up and just kind of like slowly but surely creating that blend. So the next shade I'm going to be using is this shade right here. It is my fave. As you guys can see, I've hit pan on this because I use it a lot. This is the shade called Key Lime. It's a beautiful kind of like neon green. You guys, it's gorgeous and the formula is insane. It honestly blends so well. So I'm taking that on a tiny but fluffy brush, and this is actually going to be the last shade that I'm using to diffuse up towards my brow bone. So as you guys can see in the beginning of the video, the shadow, I was going to say the liner, the shadow is nice and winged out, but I'm going to do that later on. So right now I'm not really focusing on that because we still have to apply foundation and everything, and I don't want to do double the work. So right now I'm just making sure that it's kind of hugging that last blue-green color that we used, so that way everything looks really nice and blended. So now that I have all the colors laid down, I know where everything is going, and now I can take my time and go back into each shade one more time and just basically build the pigment and really intensify the eye look until I'm happy with the way that it looks. I just recently started doing this with my eyeshadow because you guys know I would pack on and pack on and pack on, but then by the time I finished blending, I would have to go back and add color anyway. So it saves me eyeshadow, okay, because as you guys can see, my shade Key Lime is pretty sparse, so I'm trying to make it last, and also it just saves me some time. So like I said, I'm just going back into each color, and then when I'm happy with it, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my lid space. Of course, I'm just using some micellar water from Garnier and basically just a Q-tip to go ahead and clean up my eyelid. This is just going to help so when I go in with my blank canvas base, it's a really nice just skin tone color and none of the blues mix in with the base, because girl, I do not want that. So like I said, I'm using this base right here, but I went off camera and already cut my crease. This is what the crease is looking like. And then I always go back in with that buffing brush and just pat out that base. If you've ever used this base, you know it is super thick. So I like to make sure that it's nice and blended, especially on that outer corner, so that way my eyeshadow doesn't get patchy when I actually apply shadow to the base. So now what I'm doing is taking the shade The Deep, and I'm going to pack that on first, of course, just to kind of incorporate the crease to the outer corner. And then I I did go back in with the shade Lagoon, and I'm putting that shade right in front of the shade The Deep. And right now I'm not really worried about the pigmentation. I'm just trying to lay down the shades, and then we'll really perfect it later on. And then next I'm going to go in to the shade called Reef, which is a beautiful like blue-green shade. It's very, very pretty, you guys. By the way, I was actually inspired by the fish emoji. I'll pop it up on the screen for you guys to see for today's makeup look, and I think it came out exactly like how the fish looks. I was so like, yes girl, get it. So now what I'm doing is going in with the shade Key Lime. Love this shade. We had to incorporate this shade into the lid because it's so beautiful. And then for the inner part of the eye, I did go into my Riviera palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills just to add that white eyeshadow because I wanted that really beautiful white shadow in the inner part of the eye. And unfortunately, the Stacey Marie and Bperfect palette doesn't have a white eyeshadow. So now that everything is nice and laid down, now I can really sit there and focus on making sure that the entire lid is covered and that every single shadow blends really nice into one another. So definitely keep in mind that that lime green shade and the Reef shade aren't going to look super blended together because they're two totally different colors. So girl, don't beat yourself up about it. Ain't nobody going to be super, super close to your eyelid trying to see if you blended your shadow the right way. So now what I'm going to do is just take a eyeliner. This is the One Size Point Made black eyeliner. And as always, I'm just going to add a black line to my lash line. So that way you won't see any of those shadows peeking through once I go ahead and apply my falsies. So I did my falsies off camera, so that way we can go ahead and move on to the face makeup. This is what the eyes are looking like so far, but like I said, we're not done yet. So moving on to the face makeup, I actually decided to try out this new Milani Supercharge Dewy Face Primer, and oh my goodness, you guys, this was so nice. It honestly just felt like I was applying another moisturizer to my face, and my face felt super moisturized, and it smells citrusy. It was amazing. I actually really loved it. So moving on to foundation, I'm using my e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. You guys know I've been obsessed with this. This one is in the shade 240W. You guys, this is like the third shade that I'm using in this product because I could not find the right shade. But this one is fine. As you guys can see, it's a little bit darker than my skin tone, but it's okay because a little bit of color ain't never hurt nobody. So I'm going to be applying this as my foundation today. It is an absolute fave. And then for cream bronzer, I'm going to be using the Soul Body Bronzing Cream. You can use this on your face and body. This one right here is in the shade Light, and I love how warm it is. Like, I know it looks a little orangey in this clip, okay? But I'm telling you guys, when the entire look comes together, it is just beautiful. So I went ahead and bronzed up my skin, bronzed up my nose, you know, a little bronzing moment, a little here, a little there. And now I'm going to be using the DERMABLEND Cover Care Concealer. You guys, when I tell you that you need this concealer, it's bomb. It is full coverage, yet lightweight. It does not crease. It does not get crepey and dry throughout the day. It is amazing. I'm wearing mine in the shade 23W. I'll leave the shade names down below in case you guys are interested. And then I'm just going to go ahead and blend that out. This is actually a Colored Rain sponge. And let me tell you, at first I thought these sponges were a little bit too soft, but they really did grow on me and I am obsessed with them. But besides the sponge, can you guys see the coverage of this concealer? Beautiful. Super airbrushed, flawless. It's amazing. You definitely need it. Go ahead and brighten the inner part of my eye just a little bit more. I'm going to take the e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer Pen. Mine is in the shade Light 26N. You guys, I am obsessed with using this way, if that makes sense. So I like to use it over top of a full coverage concealer. On its own, this product has no coverage in my opinion whatsoever. So if you tried it by itself and you've hated it, please give it another shot over top of a full coverage concealer. It's just going to give you the perfect amount of brightness, and it's just beautiful, you guys. I only put it in the inner part of my eye, as you guys saw, and it is just stunning. I love it, and it's so thin in consistency, so it doesn't make your under eyes feel cakey or like you have too much product. It's beautiful. So to set my under eye, I'm going to be using my COLLAB Set the Stage powder. I decided to whip this baby out for today's video because I have not used it in so long. I've been using the Dragon Beauty one. I've also been using the e.l.f. Halo Glow powder. So I decided to use an oldie but goodie, and every single time I use this powder, it blows me away. You can find this COLLAB powder at Sally's Beauty in store and online if you guys are interested. It's honestly so bomb. It just leaves your under eyes so flawless and smooth and gives you that extra brightness that I personally love. So moving on to setting the rest of my face, I'm using my Sephora Micro Smooth Powder. This is my favorite powder ever. Anytime I don't want to think about what powder I want to use for the day, I honestly just reached for this one, and I know that this is going to leave my skin really flawless, really smooth, and it's really going to last all day. So I went ahead and set my face with that powder for today's makeup look. And then for bronzer, I'm going to be using the Essence Matte Bronzing Powder Palette. This palette's amazing. I'm only using the lightest shade in this palette for today's look because, as you guys can see, I'm pretty light at the moment. Your girl needs some color. I need some sun. I need some heat. Girl, I'm ready for summer. So I did need to use the lightest shade, but it's so beautiful, you guys. For the price, girl, this is like magical. You can find this at Ulta if you guys are interested, and the color is beautiful. It blends really well, looks really nice and smooth, and I really love it. It's really good. So moving on to blush, I'm going to be using the Tarte blush in the shade Sensual. You guys know this is one of my favorite blushes ever because, like I said, it literally goes with any eyeshadow look that I'm doing, and it's really beautiful. It is one of my favorites, and I love the formula, and I love that it's not too pigmented, but I can build it up to be as pigmented as I personally want it. So now moving on to highlight, I'm using my Laura Geller Gilded Honey highlight. It's an oldie but goodie, and also I need to use another highlighter because I've been using this one in every single video, but the glow is so gorgeous, and it literally melts into the skin, and it's just beautiful. I love it. So I went ahead and applied my highlight, of course, and that's basically it for the face makeup. So now we can move back into the lower lash line. Hey, you guys, so jumping back into the lower lash line, I was all over the place. So I just wanted to show you guys, I took the shade The Deep on a flat definer brush, and I applied it to my lower lash line, and then I was like, okay, hold up a second. I actually want to do the outer part of like that wing shadow first. So I was like, okay, let me do that first. So all I did, and the only thing that I do when I do this method, is I go from darkest to lightest, if that makes sense. So I'm basically just packing on each color the same way that I did in the crease. So I started off with that darkest blue, which is called The Deep, and then I went into the shade Lagoon because that's the next blue that we use, and then I took a little bit of the shade Reef, and then the last color that you guys will see me use is the shade Key Lime. So that is the trick to getting this kind of like winged out shadow look, and then of course it becomes as pigmented as you want it to be. So the more shadow you pack on, the more pigmented it'll be. Definitely take your time. This does take practice. I've just started doing this. I used to never be able to do this kind of eyeshadow look, but I'm telling you, practice makes perfect. So I'm basically doing the same exact thing to the lower lash line because now that I have that winged out shadow, now I can actually connect everything. So I did the same exact thing, took both of the blue shades and took a little bit of the shade Key Lime, and now I'm just taking some black eyeshadow just to make it a little bit more pigmented. And then in my waterline, I'm using this cream gel liner from ColourPop. It's in the shade Electric Daisy. Super beautiful neon green liner. It was amazing, and it was perfect for today's look. And then I'm going to go ahead and just coat my bottom lashes with some mascara, of course. This right here is a MAC mascara. It's the most popular one, but I can never pronounce the name, so I'm not going to try. But like I said, everything will be linked down below for you guys. So the last thing that I'm going to do for the eyes is just take some more of that white eyeshadow from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette, and I'm just going to pack that into my inner corner. You guys, this is literally one dip into that white eyeshadow. Do you see how bright it is? So beautiful. It is so pigmented. I don't know what I would do if I ran out of this. It's so bomb. So now moving on to the lips. Of course, it didn't record. I used my KKW lip liner in Nude 2, then used my Laura Lee Los Angeles liquid lipstick in Nakey Nakey, and now I'm going in with the Jeffree Star Cosmetics liquid lipstick in the shade I'm Nude. And with this liquid lipstick, I like to just apply it to the center of my lips, and then I basically just blend it in with the brush. This is the perfect nude combo if you're around my skin tone. It is so beautiful. If you guys have not tried any of these three lip products, you definitely need to. I use them in probably every single video. They're amazing, and I highly recommend them all if you guys are interested. So now I'm going to go ahead and set everything in place. I'm using the new Milani Make It Last setting spray in Peach. This smells so good, you guys. I love it. This is one of my favorite drugstore setting sprays, and it really does make your makeup last all day. So I went ahead and, of course, drenched my face in this, and then I'm going to go ahead and dry it down with my Batty Bee fan just to make sure everything is nice and dry. Once my skin is almost dry but not 100% there yet, I like to take a little bit more of my highlighter and just add it to the high points of my cheeks where I know the light is going to hit. This is my little trick to making my skin look extra glowy, and I love it. So of course I added to my cheekbones, to the tip of my nose, and then that is basically it. This makeup look is finally complete. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm obsessed with this one. I hope you guys are too. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.